Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this very special presentation. It is an honor and a pleasure to be able to feature the artwork of John Lamb at the Gaylord Building, and despite the current challenges, we are thrilled to be able to share this exhibit with you online. John Lamb was born in 1926 in Michigan, North Dakota. He received his bachelor's degree from the University of North Dakota and his Master of Arts from Fordham University. John served in the U.S. Army for 2 years during the Korean War, followed by doctoral studies in history at Oxford University in England. John began his teaching career at the then Lewis College in September of 1956, retiring in May 1994. A substantial part of Lamb's personal and professional life was committed to research, publications, presentations, exhibits, grants, legislation, consultation, and to the social and economic growth of the I&M Canal communities. Lamb started the Old Canal Days celebration in 1972 to help preserve that link and inspire interest in local history. Lamb devoted himself to creating a historical record of Lockport at a time when Lockport, like most old municipalities in the late 20th century, was experiencing a decline in its central business district. Lamb's dedication was a key component in saving Lockport's historic central business district while working to preserve and enhance the city as a heritage tourism destination. This exhibition celebrates the artistic achievement of John M. Lamb, who has been identified with the Illinois and Michigan Canal for over 60 years. After the opening of Old Canal Days, there arose an appreciation for a past in which Lockport served as the headquarters of a canal that linked New York to New Orleans and made Chicago boom. Community members, especially volunteers at the Will County Historical Society, turned out in costumes. John led historical walking tours, carved sculptures, and built the iconic ticket booth. Although he carved in public during Old Canal Days, John Lamb's artwork has been overshadowed by his role as an educator, researcher, and preservationist. This retrospective of his art highlights his core creativity. John's artistic approach is informed by the past through the use of hand tools to create his sculptures. When asked about the roots of his art, Justine Lamb, John's daughter, remembered vacations as a child on Fox Lake near Detroit, Michigan. "My father was known for taking long walks, and he would often return with a new walking stick, and then he would whittle them." Over time, John's carving grew more elaborate, and eventually he turned to sculptures and bas-reliefs. She noted that some of his works were made from discarded timbers reclaimed from the Gaylord Building during its renovation in the 1980s. John Lustig, gallery manager at the Illinois State Museum Lockport Gallery, has said, "John Lamb's art intersects at 4 points: his love for faith, nature, history, and the city of Lockport. As self-taught artist, the impact of his work rests in the direct contact that the artist makes with the raw wood. Each piece results in a complete thought." The figure currently on your screen represents a canal boat captain who would have worked on the Illinois and Michigan Canal. While this captain is not a historical figure, he represents the attire that a boat captain would have worn. At first glance, it appears that the captain's arms are crossed behind his back. However, from the back of the sculpture, it is shown that the captain is holding a tiller. A tiller is attached to the rudder post and is used to steer the boat. On the bottom of the sculpture, John Lamb painted the words, "Coming into Lockport on the I&M." The canal provided a direct water link between the Great Lakes and the Mississippi River. Many passengers traveled on the Illinois and Michigan Canal from 1848 to 1854, until the Chicago and Rock Island Railroad created competition with the canal. In 1956, John moved to Lockport, Illinois, and put down roots in the community where he married his wife Louise and raised 4 children, Michael, Kevin, Sean, and Justine. He said, "When I moved to Lockport, I became interested in the buildings and the canal. I hadn't realized how important it was when I began my work." In a variety of ways, John advocated for the preservation of Lockport's 19th century structures. He served as president and longtime member of the City of Lockport's Heritage and Architecture Commission, Main Street Lockport's Board of Directors, and the Illinois State Historical Society's Board of Directors. Brother James Gaffney, President Emeritus of Lewis University, wrote, "Professor Lamb's advocacy and leadership and preservation efforts for the canal contributed to the initiative that resulted in the establishment by the federal government of the Illinois and Michigan Canal National Heritage Corridor. Few people realize, however, that John's historical imagination extends to sculpture." John's art is on display in the Gaylord Building Historic Site's core exhibit, Illinois Passage, Connecting the Continent. He has fashioned a world with angels, saints, boat captains, and the waters of the canal. In the words of John himself, people need to be aware of what our past is. This sculpture depicts the second coming of Christ. The figure in the white robe is Jesus. The artist shows Jesus wearing a blue cloak over his white robe. The color blue symbolizes faith and truth, as well as being associated with heaven. Inside the cloak is red, which symbolizes atonement, sacrifice, and war. Beneath Jesus' left foot lies a snake, which represents Satan. The significance of Jesus crushing the snake embodies Jesus as a triumphant. This carving symbolizes the final battle on earth. Lockport in the 1960s looked as much as it had for decades. By this time, John had already started researching, writing, and preserving the canal's history. In this same period, Lockport, like many towns across the United States, experienced a decline in its historic business district. To regain Lockport's vitality, Lamb wrote the nomination to place its commercial district in the National Register of Historic Places. This was among the earliest commercial nomination and the first in Illinois. Later on, he joined Main Street, a national movement that promoted the economic revitalization of historic downtowns. In this way, John contributed to the efforts to save Lockport State Street and encourage it as a heritage tourism destination. The special nature of 19th century canal communities extended beyond Lockport to the entire region. This is a sculpture of Saint Jerome. Jerome met a companion, Bonosus, who led him toward the path of Christianity, and he was baptized by Pope Liberius around 366. In 373, Jerome made a pilgrimage to Antioch where he fell ill, leading to several visions that solidified his faith. Saint Jerome is the patron of archaeologists, biblical scholars, librarians, and translators. Recognition of the canal corridor came to fruition in 1984 when President Ronald Reagan signed legislation that established the I&M Canal as the nation's first ever National Heritage Corridor. Illinois Governor James Thompson nominated John to take a leadership role on the new federal commission. Then, the Secretary of the Interior designated John as the state and federal historian to the I&M Canal National Heritage Corridor Commission. In addition, John founded the Canal and Regional History Special Collection, now the Adelmann Regional History Collection at Lewis University. John emerged as a valued expert to local, state, and national organizations. This sculpture is a depiction of Saint Francis, the patron saint of animals. Saint Francis abandoned a life of luxury and devoted his life to Christianity after hearing the voice of God commanding him to rebuild the Christian church. According to legend, a wolf was eating livestock and attacking inhabitants in a nearby city. When he encountered the wolf, he realized that the wolf had been attacking the villagers in self-defense and ate the livestock because he was hungry. He returned to the city with the wolf by his side. The townspeople agreed to forgive the wolf if the wolf promised not to attack anyone else. In exchange, they would feed the wolf and live in harmony. When in England, John was struck by both the age of many of the buildings and the efforts to preserve them. In 1956, he began teaching European history at Lewis College. He would teach for 38 years and become a cornerstone of the community, being named Professor Emeritus in 1994. In recognition of his research and many accomplishments,